Welcome, everyone, to the 9th installment in our series of virtual conferences, Everything MDM, brought to you by EnterWorks by WindShuttle. Hello, I'm Kerry Young, VP and GM for the EnterWorks product portfolio for WindShuttle. In today's virtual conference, Ramesh Prabhala, Dr. Satish Ramachandran, and Kartik Nanda from IntelliTide will discuss the role of MDM in analytics and how to leverage MDM advanced reporting and analytics to support better business decision making. Ramesh is the founder of IntelliTide, a data science platforms and services company which uses the power of data management, analytics, and AI to find those hidden treasures in data. Prior to founding IntelliTide, he led a number of global MDM and PIM implementations and worked in various technical management, engineering, and consulting roles for some of the world's largest companies. Dr. Ramachandran has been delivering machine learning solutions before the world woke up to machine learning. And Kartik's expertise is in artificial intelligence, signal processing, and algorithms, spanning 2 decades in multiple domains. So before we get started, for those of you who are unfamiliar with WindShuttle and EnterWorks, let me share a little bit about us. WindShuttle is a specialist in data management and process automation. We offer an all-in-one platform for multiple domain MDM, PIM, and DAM, meaning that you can implement multiple domains of data on a single instance of our solution without installing any additional software. Our solution is highly configurable, meaning it can be implemented with little to no programming, and because of that, offers a very low total cost of ownership compared to other MDM solutions. Our solution can be deployed as a fully managed solution in the cloud, in your own private cloud or data center, and is rated highly by all of the industry analysts, including Forrester, who rated EnterWorks as a leader in both PIM and MDM, the only PIM or MDM solution provider who's rated as a leader in both reports. Next slide, please. WindShuttle has over 2,500 customers across the globe, and we work with leading manufacturers, distributors, and retailers in most industry verticals, including food, CPG, apparel, and home furnishings. Okay, it's my honor now to turn it over to Ramesh, Kartik, and Dr. Ramachandran from IntelliTide. Ramesh, please take it away.
Thank you, Kerry. Good morning, everyone here in the US, and I think we have some attendees from outside the US, so it could probably be good evening or good afternoon, depending on where you are. We are IntelliTide. We are an EnterWorks partner. We are really honored to have this opportunity to talk about advanced analytics and reporting in product information management and master data management. As you can see from our tagline there are hidden treasures in every data and we help find them. What does that have to do with master data and master data management? And that's what we are going to look into today. And we're going to keep it a little informal. Some of the content is a little theoretical, but me, Satish, and Kartik, we're going to try and mention as many real use cases and real life experiences we have had in this MDM and analytics journey. And obviously we'll be taking questions in the end. So Kerry already introduced us. So I will be the primary speaker, but I'm honored really to be joined by a couple of stalwarts from the data science industry, Dr. Satish Ramachandran and Kartik Nanda. These guys, they have been doing a lot of artificial intelligence and analytics. They are really the math guys. I primarily come from a programming, enterprise architecture, data architecture background. But for for statistical analysis, data mining, algorithms. I rely on these two guys, and there's also a technical team within IntelliTide that does the productionizing of the models that Satish and Karthik come up with. And I think some of them are in this call as well. So a little bit about our company before we dive in, just beyond some of the introduction that's already taken place. So we really are the masters of data science. We are redefining data science to be a combination of data management and analytics. For the perception of data science in people's mind is it's all about analytics. And that's not the reality, as we will see momentarily here. There's a huge data management component in data science, and that's what we're going to explore in the coming slides. We also glean insights from your master data. I have highlighted the word insights there. The reason for that is, well, we're going to look at some of the insights that are tied to real use cases that we have done. But I think the question is, why those insights? If you look at some of the paradigm shift that's happening in master data management, the focus is now on profitability, getting more return on investment on the MDM. The world is transforming towards how do I get, the question that's being asked now is how do I get more, how do I increase my profitability? How can I use my master data to increase revenue? So the insights we are talking about here essentially tied towards that goal of improving the profitability and reducing expenses and inefficiencies from the data. And master data is the most important type of data in an enterprise. So the analytics that you do out of master data are just massively, phenomenally important. Now, when we talk about getting insights from master data, do remember that sometimes, occasionally, we have to also merge master data, coalesce it with other types of data like transactional data and reference data. And we're going to talk about that. There's certain problems we solve just from master data, and then there are certain classification of problems or insights we derive from a combination of master data, combining master data with other types of data. Like we just alluded to, we are a global solutions partner, implementation partner for EnterWorks. We have, one way or another, from an implementation support perspective, we are one of the largest partners, implementation partners, and we are really very proud of that relationship. Now, bear in mind that going forward, this is a general MDM PIM topic. We will occasionally mention our EnterWorks relationship, but the content itself can be applied pretty much to any MDM. Some of our customers here, I'm sure some of you are on this call. We're very grateful. These are the active projects we are involved with right now. We have a lot of other customers, unfortunately, that I couldn't, due to the limited real estate, couldn't show. But if I'm missing a logo here, please let me know. I'll be happy to put that for the future slides. Okay, so let's dive right in. First, let's explore the relationship between master data and analytics, if there is even a relationship. The answer to that is yes, there is a relationship. In this slide, we're going to take a look at the role that analytics and artificial intelligence plays in master data management. Historically, and this is where I'm going to sprinkle some real life stories, so keep it light and not too boring. I started in master data management in 2012. Before that, I was a data architect. I was an enterprise architect. So throughout my career, I've always been connected to data one way or another. But my formal introduction into MDM was back in 2012. At that time, the focus for MDM was really on the operational aspects of MDM, as it is today too, right? What were those goals that people were looking to achieve back then? I want to create a single source of truth. I want to create a golden record. I want to improve my data quality, my product data, my customer data, my vendor data. It's all over the place. The product specifications are wrong. I have duplicate records. There's a mismatch between the products and the serial number, and so on and so forth, right? So how do I improve my data quality? That was a question. I want to accelerate my product introduction to the market. My products are slow between the time I conceptualize the product and design it, go into prototyping, and then the manufacturing of the actual product too. When I actually go to the market to sell that product, this is a slow process because of poor data quality. So can I improve the go-to-market of a product faster? That's why I need MDM. That and a few more objectives were why people were looking for MDM. Now, one more aspect to this, master data was being operated in a sandbox. What does that mean? When you have a master data management solution, data would come in, data would go out of MDM. You could, even back then, there were multiple domains. People had product domain primarily, but there was vendor domain, there was customer domain, there were other domains. But there wasn't really an interfacing or interaction between the domains, correct? It was very siloed to that particular domain. The reason being, there was not really a whole lot of analytics of business intelligence that was happening. There's been a paradigm shift since then. That was 2012. Now we are in 2020. What is that? What's that shift? Master data is shifting now to more of multi-domain experiences and profit-generating experiences. We are seeing more and more of product domain, obviously, but we are also seeing more of customer domain, location domain, vendor domain, right? And the interfacing between these two domains. We are also seeing a big emphasis on profit-generating experiences. MDM is not just a solution that can improve your go-to-market. Even back then, people wanted an MDM solution because they wanted to make more money. But the emphasis has never been greater than today. Basically, your data is gold. We keep hearing about this all the time. How do I monetize my data? Show me, how do I monetize my data? That's the same question being asked in the MDM world. I have master data. That's a gold mine of data. How do I derive more profit from that data? Now, how can you do that? Analytics, business intelligence, artificial intelligence is the way to go, and the market is really waking up to that fact. So there is some analytics and BI, business intelligence being done today, maybe not enough, but it is being done. The analysis being done is limited in scope, and it's typically local to that particular domain. So if you are, imagine as a company, you have both product domain and vendor domain. You are doing some analytics, but it is confined to your, the analytics that you apply on product domain is confined to that domain. You're doing some analytics on vendor data, but that's confined to it. Right now, you're probably not marrying the data from both those domains to do your real contextual analytics. While historically analytics was provided for certain stakeholders, now many P&L owners are interested. Earlier, whatever analytics was being done on your data sets, on your master data sets, some vice president would be interested in it. Some part of the director or managers would be interested in it. They were essentially looking at reports. They wanted to know what were the inefficiencies, things of that sort. But now, every one of us is a P&L owner. Every one of us. everyone in that supply chain, everyone dealing with master data is a profit and loss owner. Your job profile may not mention it, but make no mistake, you are a P&L owner, right? A story here I'm going to just mention. Back in a few years back at an employer when I was working at this company, my manager called me for an annual review and he said, Ramesh, you did very well in pretty much all metrics. Technically, you delivered. The customer satisfaction ratings for you are great, but there's one mark you missed. You didn't sell, and you didn't sell enough. And I was flabbergasted. I said, that was never part of my job description. I didn't sell. I did not sign up to be a seller. This is something new. And my manager told me, whether you realize it or not, at your level and your role, you have a sales component. You have to sell. So that's how the world is looking at most of us, right? And remember, even though we are P&L owners, feel free to emphasize on the profits, not on the loss. That's what people are looking at us to do. So as a P&L owner, analytics and master data from your data sets just attains a huge importance. There's a transformational shift happening in MDM. So the future will look a lot different from the past or the present. I do hear from industry experts that are a little skeptical about MDM. Some people have expressed that master data may lose its relevance like it is today. I completely disagree. Master data and master data management might look a lot different than it is today. It's going to undergo a transformation, but it's never going to go away. Your product data is never going away. The master attributes of a product are what they are. That's never going to change, right? So in future, anticipate more of analytics and artificial intelligence. So enhancing the bottom line of all P&L owners in the domain-specific supply chain, that's what you're going to see more of. So we are going to be finally unleashing the power of the data gold mine. Your MDM data was hugely important. You did a lot of good things with it. You were able to acquire a lot of return on investment, but you're going to do more of that in the future just because you're going to apply AI and analytics to that data gold mine that you're currently sitting on. Analytics and AI will play a key role in enabling the B2B to C end-to-end value chain, right? So let me tell you another story. When I started in this MDM journey a few years back, e-com was important, but it was one of the channels. A lot of the leads were really, a lot of the interest into MDM was coming from a different perspective. It was, I have a lot of this data sitting in ERPs or CRM solutions or SAP solutions. How do I, and it's sprinkled all over, the data quality is not great. How do I get this data into one solution? How do I clean up? And then I'll figure out what to do with it. Today, a lot of leads come from e-com, believe it or not. I want to, my e-com play, it's getting more and more important. And it's not just an omni-channel play. It's not that I have an e-com website of my own that I'm selling. I'm also syndicating my master data to online marketplaces like Amazon or Walmart or Costco.com. How do I utilize my MDM master data solution to feed to these online marketplaces because I'm looking for more channels to sell, right? So you may be selling to business or you may be selling to the end consumer, does not matter. Online marketplaces are becoming a huge, requiring a lot, playing a huge, significant role in this. And Today, as we speak right now with this coronavirus thing, a lot of my customers are looking at selling online. They're looking to deliver, they're looking for ways to deliver their product directly to the consumer because you cannot go to a store currently, right? So going forward, the online play is only going to become more and more important. Now, once you sell online, what do you want to do? You want to analyze how are your sales doing online? What product categories are doing well? How do you price those products? And so on and so forth. And you're going to see contextual insights. This is a new keyword, maybe for some of you probably familiar with what it is. Contextual analytics is that paradigm where you intersect different types of data. And that's what you're going to see more and more. You're going to be intersecting your multi-domain data, which means your customer data, your vendor data, your product data with transactional data and your unstructured data like digital assets to get those holistic insights. Until you do that, you're not going to be unleashing the data gold mine. All right, let's move on. So we just discussed the role that analytics is going to play in master data management. Now let's flip the script. What is the role, if any, that MDM played in analytics or will play in analytics? Believe it or not, MDM plays a role in analytics. It has forever played that role. Unfortunately, many of us never realized it. And I'm going to start with this. If you see this graphic here, this is the methodology that most accomplished, experienced data scientists use today. It's called the Cross-Industry Standard Process for Data Mining, CRISP-DM. The data scientists in this call, my colleagues here, Satish and Karthik, they have been employing this methodology forever. This is a very simple methodology. It has 6 steps, as you can notice. There, you define problem objectives. The data scientists then go to study and integrate data. They prepare the data. Then they apply the statistical modeling or predictive modeling techniques. They apply algorithms as they deem fit. And then they go into model evaluation, and then finally the reporting and visualization and deployment of the models that they built. But for all the PhD that Satish did, imagine where most of his life is spent on. That's 80–70% of his time goes here. In fact, in a couple of these boxes, integrating that data and preparing and cleaning that data. You can ask him right now when his turn comes up, or maybe in the questions in the end. A majority of his time is spent here. The PhD he did was for here, but that only consumes 15–20% of his time. Where do you guys see data integration and data preparation, data quality happening? MDM. That's what MDM people have been doing forever. That's what we essentially have been doing. We have been integrating data from various sources. We have been modeling that data. We have been applying match merge. We have been cleaning that data. So what Satish was doing was essentially what we were doing all along anyway. So why is he doing that much? The reason is we did not realize the role that MDM was playing in the analytics world, because the MDM experts never talked to the data scientists. The data scientists never talked to the MDM architects. And somehow the subject matter experts were never in this picture. So together we never collaborated. We need to collaborate. We need to collaborate so we can cut down the amount of time that a data scientist spends today in cleaning and preparing that data. So the challenge really is of awareness and collaboration. Okay. Here we are going to really get into some use cases, and we'll talk about the analytics within master data and some real life situations. So analytics using master data and beyond. I alluded this to in the beginning of the call. There's certain problems that you can solve just using master data. And there are certain problems, classification of problems you can solve using combining master data with other types of data like transactional data. That's where that contextual analytics come in. So just leveraging master data, what are some of the things you can do? You can predict time to market for a new product that you're introducing within your company. You can analyze product velocities, what products, what category of products are selling better, at what time of the year, and why. You can predict or detect price change patterns. Hugely important right now, especially in this e-com world. What categories of products, how should I price basically my product at what time of the year, so I increase my profitability and increase my revenue. Those are certain classification of problems. And remember, price is a really it's kind of a unique. It plays a very unique role in MDM. There are lots of classifications of price. I mean, there's retail price, there is manufacturing price, there's distributor price, there's promotional pricing that you can apply. The price that we bring into master data today, it's not all these components price, it's usually the retail price, because that's what is syndicated to your omni-channel sales channels. Now, when you marry master data with transactional data and other types of data, certain other types of analytics emerge. Price elasticity and optimal pricing. Price elasticity is a huge, significant use case. Everybody needs price elasticity, and Satish will can get you more details. He's done a lot of work here. Basically, how much, as a customer, you're asking, how much do I increase the price for a product that improves my profitability, yet it does not reduce my revenue, meaning it does not lead to a reduction in my sales. So how do I get to that optimal price? That's a big analytics use case. You can do sales and inventory forecasting. Inventory typically is a transactional data. Sales is also transactional, but intersect that data with your product data, master data, and you can do a lot of accurate forecasting. You can analyze your cross-sell and upsell of products and recommend products for certain markets. You can analyze your customer attrition and customer sentiment. This ties to the customer domain, but even though our focus so far has been on product domain, remember, customer domain, vendor domain, and other domains, there's a lot of analytics you can do on that as well. So all of this leads to actionable insights and enhanced ROI from your master data solution. Okay. Here is a use case. We have 3 use cases. We'll try to keep this high level. As you can see, there's a lot of math. There's a lot of graphics. There's a busy slide. We are not going to go into each graphic here. And before I bring in Satish to talk about this, I'm going to set the stage here. First thing, thanks to our customer, IDEA. IDEA is an Enterworks customer. They are really an online marketplace, online data exchange platform for the electrical industry. So they bring in manufacturers and distributors on the platform. Distributors are interested in acquiring data from their manufacturers, right? So they come to this, the IDEA platform to get to know the latest product data information that the manufacturer is putting out there. So they were good enough to lend some of their data to us, and we played around with the data and we came up with this use case. Satish, do you want to take over at this point?
Okay, yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, you can.
Okay. So, as Ramesh talked on the previous slide, there is a continuum of use cases depending on the type of data you use. You can have use cases that are built just around MDM data, and you can keep adding more and more transactional data to get more richer and richer use cases. The two examples, for example, pure MDM, as he talked about, is this example that we are talking about. This use case is based on just pure MDM data. We didn't use any of the transactional data. And this is around price change prediction. Now imagine, okay, we can extend this use case by adding transactional data. So if you had price and promotions and sales, then it opens up the use case of price elasticity modeling. So, but this use case that we are talking about is purely on MDM data. And as he said, this is a data exchange platform, so it connects manufacturers to distributors. So the use case is, so price is an attribute that's tracked in MDM. That's an attribute of the product, right? So that data resides in MDM, and the changes in prices when it happens also resides in the data that we got access to purely from MDM. So the question then becomes, for your distributors, can I provide them additional insights on when a price for a particular product is likely to change? So it's a predictive model. Can a predictive model provide insights to distributors that a price for a product is about to change? And once you're armed with that insight, you can kind of plan your procurement activities, and so you're kind of maintaining optimal inventories and stuff. So there's a lot of reasons why that's an important insight, that if they have it, they could plan better. So the key idea is, if you have enough examples of price changes happening in the past, so can a predictive model learn the patterns behind those price changes and be able to predict the chance that a price for a particular product is about to change? So here are a couple of visuals that kind of shows you a few clues on, that might help you predict. So for example, the chart on the top right, it kind of shows you by product category, how long does it take for the price to change? So if you're green, the price typically changes over 2 years down the line. So those are slow price change items. The light blue on the left is 0 to 120. So those are the ones that the price change happens very quickly. So the intent of that visual is to show that one of the clues is what type of product you are, product category you are. So if you look at that example, this is just a small section of the portfolio that we are showing. So if you look at that stage and studio luminaries, it's mostly green. That means the price change for that happens fairly rarely. It's a small percentage of the overall product portfolio. It's just 1.62%. But it's a very, the price change happens very infrequently. Now, if you look at the light blue, where the price change happens fairly quickly, you can see that light blue is more concentrated on the wire raceways, conduit, and bushways, which means that's one category for which sometimes the price change happens fairly quickly. The second visual on the right is kind of saying, when the price does change, how much does it change by? So that also depends on the product category. So for example, if you look at the orange color, which is, those are the ones that the price change happens greater than 20%. So, very rarely you see 20% change. But again, the wire raceways, a conduit and bushways, it has enough of that. So that means there are products within that category for which the price can jump over 20%. So this is just one clue, the type of product that influences your predictions up or down on whether a price change is about to happen and by how much. Okay, Ramesh, next slide.
Yeah.
So that was just an example of one clue. So the way a predictive model works is it looks at a number of features, sometimes hundreds of thousands of features, to kind of collectively come up with a prediction. And that's what the algorithms do, the statistical algorithms or the AI algorithms. You give it data and it figures out which features contribute to making you a better prediction, right? So how did we come up with this model? So the way all predictive models and analytics works is, you got to have enough historical examples to learn from. So what we did was we looked at the history and we created enough examples. Now, what are these examples, right? So you look at, you pick products randomly, you pick a time slot randomly. In this case, the time is T1, is the time slot, is the snapshot that we are looking at. And we look forward and see, did the price change or not? That in machine learning is called a label. So you label each of these instances price change or not. And you use historical attributes based on information you know at that time point, T is equal to T1. For example, when was the last time the price changed? What product family you belong to? We already looked in the previous slide that that's an important clue. How long has the product been in life? What's its lifetime? So those are all information you have available at the time T1, which is a snapshot time. And based on those, based on that profile at time T1, can I make a prediction? Did the price change or not? So you construct enough of these examples from historical data, and then you provide it to the algorithm. It figures out what features contribute and are able to help you determine whether the price is about to change or not. So that's basically what that model is, AI model is. AI model encapsulates the relationship between the profile of the product at time is equal to T1, which is all that you know at that time, and it correlates with a future price change or not. And once you have learned that relationship, you can kind of put it in production. And every snapshot time, you can ask it, okay, give me a prediction. Is this product's price about to change or not? So that's the approach and the methodology that is used to calibrate the model. Okay, next slide, Ramesh.
Yeah.
So we created about 900,000 snapshot profiles. So enough examples from the past, which encapsulates a broad spectrum of possibilities, right? So you want to kind of give the model enough examples to learn from, as they call it in the data science lingo. And in that snapshot, in that data set that we made, the price, as we say, we label each of those examples with a yes or no price change. So in that data set, we had about a 33% price change and 66% no price change, right? So based on that, we had enough examples, and this is standard practice. And when you're building models, you kind of keep 50% aside for testing, and you keep 50% of that samples for learning. The idea being that you want to test it on a sample that the model hasn't seen before. So you keep a 50% random sample to the side. So the model used a number of features, and some examples are the top predictors were like how the aging related predictors. For example, how long since the last time changed, how long since the last update on that product, could be any attributes, or the age of the product itself. Then other attributes that showed up as predictors were the product family, the current price, the country of origin of the product, and a host of others. Okay, and the model performs pretty well. So the charts on the right kind of show that when the model gives it a high score, that means there's a high chance that price is going to change. Indeed, there's the reality is that the price does change. So, we were able to calibrate a model which we could put into production, which can run continuously and come up with predictions on is the price about to change, and that insight can be passed on to the distributor. Okay, Ramesh, yeah, that's all.
Okay. Yeah, thank you, Satish. Don't step away from the computer just yet. We'll have to call you back. But just by the way, if anyone from IDA, Bill Ferguson, or anyone else from that company or on this call, thank you very much for the data you gave us. The next use case, this is interesting. There is some work already happening in this area. This use case is about product classification. And we are going to tell you why that's so important, especially today now with all that's happening on the in the e-com world. So product classification has always been one of the key components, key features of master data management, right? It really essentially plays into the fact that you're looking to categorize your products. You're trying to identify whether a product, let's say if you are a plumbing company or selling faucets, you want to know which is a kitchen faucet versus a bathroom faucet, and so on. If you're selling television sets, you want to know what's an LCD television set versus a non-LCD television set. So why is that a challenge? It's a challenge first because first thing, it's very manual. We have customers that sell thousands and thousands, and maybe even hundreds and thousands of items. Classifying those items, especially as your product portfolio keeps growing, is a very laborious, manual, time-consuming, and error-prone process. Imagine if you can apply some sort of an AI to it so that classification can be automatic. Next problem, when you're trying to sell online, as is what is happening today, if you're trying to sell to Amazon, just one instance, Amazon, believe it or not, has about 33,000 categories. Not the high-level categories. I'm breaking down the subcategories as well, but still 33,000, almost 33,000 categories. Home Depot has thousands more. Just look at that picture on the right side. I just took a screenshot of Home Depot's sitemap. Those are not even the second and third level categories. Those are your top level categories, the root categories as we call them in MDM parlance. And just look at that, the number of categories they have. So Home Depot has thousands too. So when you're trying to sell to Home Depot or Amazon and you have to categorize your products to map from your category structure, from your taxonomy to theirs, imagine the amount of work you have to do. Now, you're not selling into all those categories. If you're a plumbing manufacturer, again, you're only looking at plumbing. But plumbing itself might have thousands and thousands of categories, right? If you make a mistake, for example, in this manual process of mapping, you end up mapping or classifying your bathroom faucet as a kitchen faucet. When I, as a customer, go to purchase your product and I don't see it in the right category, I'm not buying that product. If I want a kitchen faucet and your product doesn't show up in kitchen faucets, there's no way for me to even know that you are selling a kitchen faucet. It's going to result in loss of sale. Another product classification problem that's happening right now, by the way, it's being exacerbated right now because of the current coronavirus situation. And I did not know about this, but I got to know recently because Satish here is working on that problem. Right now for one of the world's largest online marketplaces. He's solving what is a product classification fraud problem. So certain spurious, dubious sellers are trying to price gouge and take advantage of the current situation, but they know that there are algorithms within Amazon, for example, that call out if the price of a particular product is too high. So to beat those algorithms, to beat that system, what they're doing is purposely they're misclassifying a product. So yes, they will lose some sales, but whatever sales they get, they make up because they have they're selling that product at 10 or 15 times more than what its actual price would have been earlier. So he's working on such a thing too. So product classification is really a big deal. It's a use case where AI can be applied. We have done some work on it. Satish, as I said, is doing some work on it, and Karthik has done a lot of work on it. Karthik,
thanks, Ramesh.
do you want to talk about your experience in this domain area?
I'll briefly mention it. Thanks, Ramesh. So, Ramesh, you set it up really nicely, but just really a quick recap. So imagine that you're trying to sell on, and for the example here, the Home Depot platform, right? You have a product, let's say a kitchen faucet, you want to put it into the online store, but before buyers can find it, you need to put it in the proper category. And like Ramesh said, this is mostly a manual process. You've got so many, hundreds of categories, you browse through them, figure out the right one. But now imagine trying to do that for hundreds of products, and imagine trying to do that for, let's say, a dozen online platforms. So the MDM AI tool simplifies this tremendously. And this is how it works. So we basically have an AI model. It trains on the current products that are already in the online catalog. Right? So when you input your product's details into the MDM, so for example, look at the bottom figure here, you've got these details. These are specifications, descriptions, even product images. The AI model picks these out from the MDM, determines the top 2 or 3 categories for your product. So instead of combing through maybe hundreds of different categories, you now essentially have to look at the top 2 or 3 and decide if which one of them is the best match for your product. Simplifies it tremendously. And like Ramesh pointed out, this can also be used to find products that are miscategorized, either intentionally or by genuinely mistakes. So yeah, this is something that we've worked on and are eager to find real applications for this that we can actually go and test it out on. Back to you, Ramesh.
Thank you, Karthik. By the way, he has a white paper on this based on some past work he has done in this area. Is it a white paper or is it a video, Karthik? So I think it's a video, but feel free to connect with him on LinkedIn or send me an email and we can share that with you. And also, just before I leave this slide, our partners and good friends at Pivotry, they have done some work here too. So you might want to check with them about this. So the final use case, in the interest of time, I'm going to go a little faster for the next 2 or 3 last remaining slides, leave some time for Q&A. So new product introduction velocity. This plays into the fact that MDM, one of the primary goals of MDM is to accelerate go-to-market, right? So if there was a way for you to predict when, based on historic trends and patterns, how your product would be flowing through the supply chain using the data from your MDM, it would be fantastic, wouldn't it? It meets one of the primary goals if you were able to do that. And there is some work we are doing here on this use case. So the goals here, primary goal of MDM solutions is to improve new product introduction, and AI machine learning models can learn from historical patterns to forecast your NPI velocity. Now here you're trying to see why a product could be moving slow. And it's not just prediction, it's also historical trends. Historically, why have certain category of products, if they were moving slow through the supply chain, you would be able to tell why and what you can do to fix that problem. Maybe they're stuck in the workflow for whatever reason. Maybe the marketing team that's supposed to enrich a set of marketing attributes has not tends to move slowly, or maybe it's stuck in product management approval for whatever reason, right? So you take those predictors, you look at the vendor data, you look at product data, and then you apply the statistical modeling to predict why a product could be going slow and what you can do to mitigate those issues. Satish, do you want to pitch in here with any of your expert comments? Okay, I guess he's on mute. We'll come back to this in the Q&A if anyone has any questions. Final topic, I have just a couple of slides on this. Advanced reporting in MDM, and I apologize if you're giving this a little stepbrotherly treatment. That was not the intention. Reporting is very relevant, very important in today's world as well. In fact, a lot of analytics we have talked about does result eventually in reporting and visualization. So goals of reporting, you all know this. This is not much new stuff to talk about here. You want to aggregate and present information to your business users. You want, obviously, to support better business decision making. And we have a use case which talks about that. You want to use reporting and visualization for advanced business intelligence capabilities. There are tools like Tableau today that help, and Power BI, where you can get a good view of from your operational data. And visualization, obviously, is a user-friendly view of your raw data. So you don't want to throw spreadsheets and rows and tables at your business users. You want to show in graphical formats. So the consumption of that data is much easier and leads to better decision making. So some of the tools we employ today, again, this is not just in the context of EnterWorks. Any MDM has the capability to provide data through various interfaces, API or file-based interfaces. So you can bring that data into your reporting tools. Today we employ Power BI, Tableau, and Jasper, and each has their own benefits. Power BI, for example, is a very powerful tool from Microsoft. Many of you probably have licenses because a lot of customers have those annual enterprise license with Microsoft, and Power BI is usually bundled into it. And it's very powerful. We extensively use Power BI. Tableau, one of really the big names in the reporting world. It's a little expensive, but it's a very powerful tool. It's been there for a long time. And Tableau supports live streaming and data streaming, meaning as data is coming in, the reports online can update themselves in real time. That's a very powerful feature. We also work with Jasper. Jasper comes bundled in sometimes, not always, but sometimes if you pay for it with the EnterWorks license queues. Jasper works very well, integrates very well with Java applications, and that's why EnterWorks chose to bundle it. It's a powerful tool as well. One of the good things with Jasper and Power BI, we have the capability to embed those reports into the MDM, into EnterWorks MDM UI. So it's very seamless integration between EnterWorks and these two reporting tools. So let's get on to a use case. The vendor performance scorecard, very important use case. Everybody that that's deal with vendors, and at this point, I really don't know who doesn't. Unless you are a manufacturer, there's very little chance you don't deal with vendors. Even manufacturers, by the way, you do source parts. and components of your products from vendors. So you're probably dealing with them as well. So you really want to know how the vendors are performing, vendors performance scorecard, right? You want to know which vendors are supplying the highest volume of products. That's not that important, but you want to know which set of vendors whose products are resulting in the highest volume of returns. And that's not good, meaning they're not supplying the quality products that you want. So you want to know which vendors' products are resulting in returns, meaning you returning back to the vendor to fix the product. You want to reward vendors for the fastest completion of onboarding process, right? Vendors that supply you products, if they're doing right on time and the quality of the product is high, you might want to reward them in one way or another. You want to measure the fulfillment rate. You want to plot vendor deliveries by month. So these are real reports for real customers that we have created. These are part of the vendor dashboard process. Some of them actually come out of the box. And the top report on the right, we use Power BI, and the bottom report, we use Tableau. So it does not matter what tool you use, the data is still powerful. You can still create those graphs and charts, and you can still get insights from your data, from the vendor data as well. So this was a presentation of IntelliTide. Before we go into QA, it has been an honor to be with you all. If you have any questions, feel free to email us or hit us up on LinkedIn. Our email is hello@intellitide.com. Kerry, I'm going to pass the baton back to you for questions.
Thanks, Ramesh. Yeah, thank you. It's always really great to hear you present and hear your team present. I've learned something new every time, so super educational. Thank you. We only have around 2 minutes left, so we're not going to be able to get to a lot of questions. So I would encourage everybody who has questions to email them to us, and we will get them to Ramesh and his team and get you all responses very, very soon. So thank you for that. Sorry we ran out of questions. Just real quickly before we leave, Ramesh, it sounds like we're all sitting on top of these gold mines, at least all of us that have implemented multi-domain MDM systems. How does somebody get started if they want to figure out how to mine some of this gold?
Yeah, I think first for me it would be a collaboration, Kerry, between the data architects, data management experts, and the data scientists, right? I think that's the main thing that's not happening here. The data is all there. Once we have MDM, we have already improved the quality. We created the golden record. Now the question is, why is not more analytics being done? I think that speaks to what I alluded to before, is the collaboration with data scientists. So they don't have to do that part of the job, which is data cleaning. 70% of their time goes into that. So I think collaboration for me would be really important. Once that is established and the use cases are established, it really becomes a matter of employing some of these these analytical tools, either the reporting tools or any other solutions, right? Like Spark ML, Azure ML, Satish and Karthik work with a number of tools, get the data into those tools, apply the statistical models and algorithms, and then get the output. I know it sounds a little easy, but it's being done. It has been done, and just needs to be done more.
Fantastic. Yep, Ramesh, thank you again. Thank you to everybody who joined us today. Look forward to seeing you all again next Tuesday, where we have the Bounteous team talking to us about PIM, DAM, and MDM. So take care, everybody. Have a great rest of your week.